the silent planet Ender, a sky that shimmered with purple clouds and 2 quiet moons. Ethan Walker sat alone beside a weak, flickering campfire. His spacesuit was scratched and dusty. His boots were cracked. He hadn't seen another living soul in 73 days. The wind moved gently across the dry ground, carrying sand and silence. The planet was called Xylon 3. To most, was a dead world, abandoned by all known species. But Ethan was not here by choice. His ship had crashed after a system failure. The communication signals were broken, and his emergency beacon never reached Earth. He was stuck here, hoping for rescue that never came. Each evening, Ethan ate a small packet of dried food, took slow sips of filtered water, and looked at the stars. The silence was the worst part. Not even the machines made noise anymore. The planet had no birds, no animals, not even bugs, just dust and broken tech buried beneath the sands. Tonight, something felt different. Ethan didn't know why, but the air was heavier. The fire crackled more than usual, and the sky seemed a little brighter. Maybe it was his mind playing tricks. Maybe loneliness was changing how he saw the world. He took out a metal bowl and started warming his food over the fire. His eyes were tired, and his thoughts drifted. Memories of Earth floated in his mind, his mother's cooking, warm coffee, and the soft sound of rain on his window back home. Then he heard it, a voice, soft, gentle, curious. "Mind if I sit?" Ethan froze. The spoon slipped from his hand and landed in the sand. His heart beat loudly in his chest. He turned his head slowly, afraid of what he might see. Behind him, standing just beyond the firelight, was a figure tall, glowing faintly blue, and wearing something like armor, but more organic, like smooth crystal and silk woven together. The figure stepped closer. It was not human, but it didn't look dangerous either. Its eyes were bright, almost like stars. Its movements were slow, careful. Ethan stood up quickly. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice rough and dry. The figure tilted its head. "I am Kailari," it said. The voice was neither male nor female. It was soft like wind and clear like water. "I saw your fire. I was drawn to the warmth." Ethan didn't lower his guard, but something inside him softened. He was tired of fear. He was tired of silence. He nodded slowly. "Sit, then," he said. Kale. Ari moved closer and sat across from him, just near the edge of the fire. The light touched their face, now smooth, silver blue skin, glowing lines across the cheeks, and eyes that looked like they had seen entire galaxies. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "You're not from Earth," Ethan finally said. "Double quotes, no," Kailari answered. "But I know of it." Ethan blinked. "How?" "I listen," Kailari said simply. "I have watched many lost voices in this galaxy. Most are forgotten. You, human, are not." Ethan didn't know what to say. Was this real? Was this alien being telling the truth? Thor, was it just a hallucination? From too many days in the sun. He passed the metal bowl across the fire. "You eat." Kailari looked at it, smiled slightly. "No need." "But thank you." Silence returned for a few minutes. Then Kailari asked, "Why are you here? Alone?" Ethan stared into the fire. "Ship crash. My crew, gone. Signals failed. I've been trying to survive, waiting, but no one came." Kailari nodded slowly. "You are strong to last this long." "I don't feel strong," Ethan replied. "You are." The fire crackled again. Kailari reached out a hand not to touch Ethan, but to warm their fingers near the flame. "This place was not always silent," they said. "Long ago, many species lived here. It was a meeting ground, a place of peace." "What happened?" Ethan asked. "War, greed, fear, like always." Ethan gave a tired laugh. "Sounds like home." Kailari smiled softly. "Your kind left a mark in the stars. Ethan Walker. It is not forgotten, even if you think you are." Those words hit something deep inside him. He hadn't heard his full name in weeks. He hadn't felt remembered in even longer. So, why did you really come here? Ethan asked, narrowing his eyes. Kailari looked up at the stars. Maybe I was lost. Maybe I was looking for someone. Maybe both. Ethan didn't press further. Not yet. For the first time in many weeks, the silence was not empty, it was full. Full of questions, full of mystery, full of a strange kind of hope. They sat together in the firelight as the two moons rose higher, and the wind carried old whispers across the sand. Ethan no longer felt truly alone, and that, in itself, was something powerful. The Visitorathan didn't sleep that night. Even after the fire turned cold, and the wind died down, his mind stayed sharp. Across from him, Kailari sat still like a statue made of light and silence. Sometimes, their glowing eyes closed, as if resting. Sometimes, they opened and followed the stars like they were reading a map only they could understand. When the first rays of the strange twin suns touched the sky, Kailari finally stood up. I will return, they said softly. Where are you going? Ethan asked quickly, his voice tighter than he expected. Kailari paused, to think. And just like that, they vanished into the morning mist. Ethan stared at the spot where Kailari had been. Nothing. No sound. No footprints. It was as if they had never been there at all. He spent the morning walking the area. Every stone and broken part felt the same as yesterday, but he was not the same. Something had shifted inside him. Kailari's visit had left a weight on his thoughts. He had survived this long by expecting nothing and no one. Now, he felt watched. Was Kailari real? Was this a game? He didn't know. As the sun climbed higher, he returned to camp and checked his broken device. Still dead. Then he picked up a tool, just to feel busy. Just to pretend everything was normal. But nothing was normal anymore. By afternoon, he noticed something odd in the sand, a smooth trail, too wide for animal tracks. It looked like something heavy had been dragged. He followed it, with slow steps. It led away from his camp, deeper into the dunes. His instincts whispered, don't follow. But his heart, driven by curiosity and concern, told him to move, so he did. The trail led to a strange rock formation, sharp black stones, standing in a perfect circle, like teeth in the desert. In the middle was something buried, metallic, ancient. He brushed the sand off slowly. A symbol. Not human. It pulsed faintly when he touched it. What is this place? He whispered. Then he heard a soft sound. Metal. Moving on metal. He turned. Kailari was there. But they weren't alone. Behind Kailari stood a massive figure nearly twice their height. It was armored in dark plates, its face hidden behind a jagged helmet. In its hand was a weapon that hummed with red energy. Ethan took a step back. Kailari raised a hand. Don't fear. This is Zarkel. He followed me. Why? Ethan asked, eyes locked on the weapon. Because he believes humans are dangerous. Zarkel stepped forward. Humans once brought war across the stars, he said in a deep, mechanical voice. They are not to be trusted. Ethan laughed bitterly. Trust me, I'm not much of a war machine. Not yet, Zarkel replied coldly. But your blood remembers. Enough, Kailari said firmly. The tension between them cracked the air like lightning. Ethan stepped between them slowly. If you think I'm a threat, why come here? Kailari looked into Ethan's eyes. Because you are different. You chose kindness. You offered food. You listened. Many races fear your kind. But I see something else. Zarkel growled low. He will bring death. Just like before. Kailari shook their head. Not this one. Suddenly, the symbol under the sand glowed brighter. The ground shook. A voice not human, not alien, but old and powerful, echoed in the air. The key has awakened. Ethan stumbled back. What is that? Kailari looked at him with wide eyes. You've touched something ancient. Something buried long ago by those who feared its power. What kind of power? the kind that can start or end a galaxy. Zarkal stepped back, his weapon now lowered. It begins again, he muttered. Ethan stared at the glowing symbol. It pulsed in time with his heartbeat. What do I do now? He asked. Kael'ari looked serious. Now, we run. They moved fast across the sand. Behind them, the ground trembled. Machines long buried began to rise from beneath. Drones with spinning eyes and sharp claws. Guardian tech set to destroy anything that woke the ancient vault. Kael'ari led the way, moving like light, fast and graceful. Ethan ran as hard as he could, lungs burning. Zarkal stayed behind them, blasting drones that got too close. They reached a hidden cave before nightfall. The entrance sealed itself behind them. Inside, Kael'ari finally spoke. What you awakened was not just a signal. It was a message. To who? Kael'ari's voice dropped to a whisper. To everyone. As they sat in the dark cave, the firelight flickered again. Just like the night they met. But now, everything had changed. They weren't just strangers anymore. They were fugitives. Targets. And maybe, the beginning of something greater. Ethan, Kael'ari said slowly, you are not just a survivor. You are a key. Something in your blood, in your mind, in your story. It's tied to the past of this galaxy. What does that mean? Ethan asked. Kael'ari met his gaze. It means, someone will try to kill you before you find out. A deal under Star's cave was cold. Deep inside the rocky shelter, Ethan sat with his back against the wall, staring at the fire Kael'ari had built from glowing blue stones. The flames didn't burn hot, but they gave off enough warmth to keep him from freezing. Outside, machines roamed the desert, searching for them. XAR. Single quotes. Cal stood silently at the cave's mouth, like a stone guard, watching, waiting. His weapon was always powered up, ready to strike. Kael'ari sat across from Ethan again, just like that first night. But everything between them was different now. No more mystery. No more silence. Now, they were tied together by something ancient and dangerous. Ethan looked down at his hands. They were shaking. Not from fear, but from the weight of something bigger than he could understand. What's happening to me? He asked, his voice low. Kael'ari didn't answer right away. Instead, they pulled out a small crystal disc from their side pack. It glowed in rhythm with the pulsing mark that had appeared on Ethan's palm since he touched the buried symbol in the sand. This, Kael'ari said, holding the disc near his hand, confirms it. Confirms what? You are not just human, Ethan Walker. You are connected to the Starforge network. The oldest technology in the galaxy, made by the first Alliance long before humans even left Earth. Ethan laughed nervously. That's impossible. I'm nobody. Just a technician. Kael'ari tilted their head. You're more than that. Your blood holds a genetic signature. It matches the builders. Zarkal turned his head. I warned you, he growled. They built the old world, and they destroyed it too. Ethan stood up, fists clenched. You think I asked for this? You think I wanted to wake up some ancient machine? I was just trying to survive. Kael'ari raised a calm hand. No one blames you. But now that it's done, we have to make a choice. Ethan looked from Kael'ari to Zark. What kind of choice? Kael'ari's voice dropped lower. The vault you touched, it wasn't just a lock. It was a beacon. Others felt it. Not just us. Others, Ethan asked. Empires, Kael'ari said. Machines, hunters, scavengers, and one very dangerous force that calls itself the Silent Dominion. Ethan swallowed hard. What do they want? Control, Zarkal said, stepping forward. They want the power hidden inside the vaults. If they get it, they'll wipe out anyone who isn't one of them. Kael'ari nodded. But you can open the vaults. Only you. The air grew heavier in the cave. The firelight flickered against the stone walls like shadows of ghosts. So what? You want me to help you open them? Ethan asked. No, Kylari said, shaking their head. We want to help you open them first before the Dominion does. Ethan sat back down, overwhelmed. This is insane. I'm not a hero. I don't know how to fight. I don't even know how this tech works. Kylari leaned forward, eyes glowing. You don't need to be a hero. Just be human. That's enough. Silence hung in the cave for a long time. Then Ethan looked up. And if I say no, Zarkal answered this time, then they will find you, and they will use your body as a key, dead or alive. Later that night, Kylari showed Ethan a hologram, an old map of ancient worlds, all once connected by the Starforge network. Only 7 vaults remained, scattered across forgotten planets. Each one hidden, each one locked. Only a human key could open them. You're not the first human they've searched for, Kylari said. What happened to the others? Ethan asked. Kylari's single quotes as face darkened. None survived. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. But you, Kylari continued, you're different. You weren't raised by the Alliance. You grew up free. No programming, no control. That's why the Vault accepted you. Ethan stared at the floating map. So what now? We make a deal, Kylari said. Ethan looked at them. You help us find the vaults, Kylari said. We protect you. We fight with you. And when it's done, you decide what happens to the knowledge inside. And if I want to destroy it, Kylari nodded. Then we help you do that too. Zarkal growled low again. Dangerous deal. But fair. Ethan thought long and hard. Finally, he reached out and touched the edge of the hologram. Deal. Just then, a sharp sound pierced the air like metal scraping stone. XAR, single quotes. Kel spun around. They found us. The cave wall exploded as a metallic claw tore through. A sleek, spider-like hunter drone crawled in, its red eyes scanning. Kylari moved, first drawing a blade made of light. Zarkal fired a blast that echoed through the cave. Ethan rolled behind a rock, covering his head. The fight was fast and brutal. Sparks flew. Stone shattered. Kylari moved like flowing water, slicing the drone's limbs. Zarkal shot through its core with a final, echoing blast. The drone's broken body collapsed in front of Ethan, its red eyes still flickering, recording, transmitting. Kale, Ari whispered. They know you're alive. Ethan stared at the drone's remains, heart pounding. Then we better move fast, he said. Outside, the stars watched in silence. The galaxy had been quiet for a long time, but tonight, a spark had been lit, and that spark was human. Tracks. In the dust, desert wind howled like a living thing, blowing sharp grains of sand against Ethan's helmet as he marched forward. It had been 3 days since they left the cave. 3 days of hiding, moving at night, and watching the skies for enemy drones. Ethan was exhausted, but he couldn't stop now, not when he knew they were being hunted behind him. Kylari walked with a smooth, silent grace, barely leaving footprints in the dust. Ahead, Zarkal scanned the horizon, his massive weapon always ready. The group didn't talk much anymore. Every word risked being heard. They had entered a canyon that twisted like a knife through the planet's crust. Sharp rocks jutted out from the walls. Shadows moved strangely here. Ethan couldn't tell if it was the wind or something else. This path leads to a hidden relay, Kylari said quietly. It's old tech, but we may be able to contact the Resistance. Resistance? Ethan asked, surprised. Not everyone bows to the Silent Dominion, Zarkal growled. Some still fight. You mean there are others like you? Kylari nodded. A few, scattered, hiding, but still alive. Hope sparked inside Ethan, but it didn't last long, because that's when they saw the tracks. Strange prints in the dust round, heavy, deep, like something metal had walked here. Large, claw-like indentations beside them. Whatever made them had no interest in hiding. Ari knelt and touched the sand. Her fingers glowed faintly as she studied the pattern. Scout class walker, she whispered. Designed to capture, not kill. Ethan didn't like that. Capture who? Kylari stood slowly, looking at him. You. Zarkel stepped forward. They're not far ahead. How can you tell? Ethan asked. The massive warrior pointed to a cliff high above. Watchers. Ethan followed his gaze and his stomach dropped. Dozens of glowing red eyes were watching from the ridges. Silent, unmoving. Sentry drones. Ethan grabbed Kylari's arm. They've already surrounded us. Kylari nodded. Not yet. They're waiting for something. Zarkel loaded his weapon. They're waiting for their trap to close. They had to move. They broke into a run down the canyon, into a tunnel system carved long ago by water or wind. Ethan's legs ached, lungs burned, but fear pushed him forward. Somewhere behind, the metallic steps of the hunter drone echoed, off the stone walls, steady and inhuman. Where does this tunnel lead? Ethan shouted. Kylari didn't look back. An ancient outpost. There's a console. It might still work. Zarkel suddenly stopped. Wait. They all froze. The tunnel ahead split in two paths. To the left, silence. To the right, a faint humming noise, like a machine trying to stay alive. Which way? Ethan asked. Kylari stepped toward the right. The relay is that way. Zarkel didn't move. No. That's bait. They want us to go that way. Kylari hesitated. Ethan made the decision. Split up. I'll take the right path with Kylari. Zarkel circle around and meet us from the other side. The warrior nodded. Don't die, human. You too, Ethan replied. The path to the right twisted sharply, the hum growing louder with every step. The air smelled burnt. Kylari scanned the walls as they moved, her hand glowing with each pulse. Finally, they reached a large chamber half buried in stone, half exposed. At the center stood a console with blinking blue lights. Ancient human text flickered across the surface. How is there human tech here? Ethan asked, stepping closer. Kylari's voice was quiet. This planet was once a relay world, one of the first to connect to the old Starforge network. Humans helped build it, long before they were wiped from the records. Ethan placed his hand on the console. It lit up instantly. Kylari's eyes widened. It recognizes you. A soft voice came from the console. Not metal, not alien, human. Greetings, Keybearer. Do you wish to activate Relay 7? Ethan looked at Kylari. She nodded. Double quotes, yes, he said. The console hummed louder. A beam of blue light shot into the ceiling and out into the sky. Then everything went dark. Suddenly, a wall behind them exploded. A massive drone stomped into the room twice as tall as a man. Its arms like bladed tentacles. Its red eye locked onto Ethan. Target acquired. Kylari stood between them instantly, her blade drawn. Run, Ethan. He didn't move. I'm not leaving you. You must. This room will collapse. Go. But before he could move, Zarkel crashed through the ceiling above, landing hard on the drone and smashing it into the ground. Double quotes. I told you. It was a trap, he snarled. The drone screamed in mechanical fury, slashing back. The two giants clashed as sparks flew. Kylari grabbed Ethan and pulled him out just as the room began to fall apart. Outside, the sky pulsed blue from the activated relay. They didn't stop running until the canyon ended. They collapsed beside an old rock wall, panting, coughing, covered in dust. Ethan looked up at the stars. One of them blinked. Not naturally. It was a signal. Kylari smiled weakly. They heard us. Ethan didn't smile, because now everyone would come, friend and enemy alike, and the war for the vaults had truly begun. The broken signal. Night sky was no longer silent. Ethan lay flat on a rocky ledge, his chest pressed against the cold stone, staring up at the blinking star above. It wasn't a star at all, it was a satellite, a relay, and it was alive again. The signal they had sent from the buried console was working, but something felt wrong. Too easy, beside him. Kailari adjusted a small crystal device, holding it up to the blinking light. It's broadcasting, she whispered. But not just to the resistance. Ethan turned his head. What do you mean? Look, she pressed the crystal. An image formed in the air. A signal mapped thousands of lines, connecting across the stars. But one line was darker than the rest, pulsing red. It was heading toward them. The Dominion? Ethan asked. Kailari nodded slowly. They're tracing the signal. From behind them, Zarko climbed up the rock, dirt and blood on his armor. They'll be here in less than one cycle. Ethan sat up. Then we have to shut the signal down. Kailari shook her head. It's too late. The network has awakened. Shutting it down now would cause a feedback surge. It could destroy this entire region. So what do we do? Zarkel dropped a damaged drone core at Ethan's feet. We do what they never expect. We go silent again. And we move faster than they can follow. They traveled through the night, passing through ancient ruins swallowed by sand. Statues of forgotten beings leaned sideways, half buried. Giant rings of stone buzzed faintly as they walked past. Every step they took echoed through lost history. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the message they had sent. Who would answer it? Would it be Helpor? Something worse? Kailari must have seen the worry in his face. Do you regret sending the signal? She asked softly. Ethan sighed. I don't know. I wanted to believe someone would come, but now I think maybe it's better no one knew I was alive. Kailari placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You were never alone. You just hadn't been found yet. By dawn, they reached an old skyport hidden beneath a mountain ledge. The place was in ruins. Ships once used by the Alliance lay broken and rusting under fallen rocks. Kailari scanned the largest ship. We might be able to get this working. A ship? Ethan asked, eyes lighting up. Not for escape, she added. For flights to reach the next vault. Ethan's excitement faded. Right. The vaults. Zarkel walked into the hangar. Something's wrong here. Too quiet. The three spread out, checking every corner. Silence hung heavy, too heavy. Ethan opened a side door and froze. Inside. A human body lay slumped against the wall. He stepped closer. It was wearing an old Earth Alliance suit, tripped, burned, and full of holes. Next to the body was a small transmitter device. Ethan picked it up and pressed the button. The device played a recording. This is Dr. Lynn Novak. If you're hearing this, you're not the first. Kailari and Zarkel rushed over. The message continued. They lied. To us. The vaults aren't storage. They're prisons. Each one is a lock and a warning. If you open all 7, something wakes. Ethan's face turned pale. Kailari reached out and stopped the recording. This changes everything. Zarkel was silent. Ethan slowly sat on the floor, staring at the body. How long ago do you think she died? Kailari examined the gear. Maybe a year. She tried to shut the relay before it was too late. And now, we've turned it back on, Ethan whispered. They buried Dr. Novak in the sand outside, marking her grave with a broken piece of ship metal. None of them spoke for a while. Then Kailari turned to Ethan. You can still walk away from this. He looked at her sharply. Can I? Yes, she said. But if you keep going, you won't just be fighting the Dominion. You'll be facing something older than war. Zarkel spoke for the first time in hours. She's right. The vaults may not hold weapons. They might hold something worse. Ethan looked down at the transmitter. Then why did they need a human key? Kailari whispered. Because humans created the lock. Just before sunset, the ship came alive. Sparks flew. Engines coughed. And finally, the console glowed. She fly, Kailari said. XARXA nodded, but not far. We'll have to recharge at the next vault site. Where is it? Ethan asked. KL. Ari pressed the console. A map lit up, showing a nearby moon covered in ice, orbiting a dying star. Vault 2. she said. Ethan stared at it. Cold, forgotten, unknown. Let's go, he said. They lifted off at night, the ship, shaking and groaning. Outside the window, the blinking satellite still pulsed in the sky. But as they climbed into orbit, something happened. The signal changed. It broke, not stopped, twisted, and in its place, a new sound entered the ship's comm system. A voice, not human, not alien, something older. Keybearer, detected. Reawakening process at 14%. Containment breach possible. Ethan's hands gripped the console. What was that? Kylari didn't answer. .xar single quotes. Kel stepped closer. The vault is not just opening. Ethan looked back. Then what is it doing? Kylari's eyes were wide. It's remembering. And far beyond the system, something in the dark stirred an old force, a forgotten mind, and it had just learned that the last key was alive. Secrets of the Skywalth ship cut through the frozen clouds of the dying moon like a blade through smoke. Outside the window, Ethan could see nothing but ice-towering walls of frost, cracked glaciers, and a sky stained with pale red light from the old star it orbited. This moon had no name now. Long ago, it was called Velterana World, once used for storing something too dangerous to destroy and too powerful to forget. This was the home of Vault 2, inside the ship's dim control room. Kylari studied the vault map with silent focus. Zarko stood near the back, sharpening his blade, his eyes locked on the scanner screen. Ethan broke the silence. Is it going to be like the last one? Kylari didn't look up. No, this one is worse. Worse how? Ethan asked. Kylari's voice was calm, but firm. The first vault was a key station. It simply reconnected your signal to the old network. This one holds memory. Ethan frowned. What kind of memory? Zarko finally spoke. The kind that should have died. They landed in a narrow canyon, surrounded by ice cliffs. The ground groaned under the ship's weight. Thick fog rose from cracks in the ice. Somewhere beneath them, the ancient vault slept buried deep as the ramp lowered. A cold wind hit Ethan like a wave of knives. He pulled his coat tight, breath turning to vapor. Kylari handed him a small device. What's this? Translator, she said. Not for language, for thoughts. Thoughts. She nodded. This vault was made by a species called the Kethanar. They communicated using memory imprints. The device lets you hear what was recorded if the vault accepts you, and if it doesn't, Zarkal growled, then your mind breaks. Ethan hesitated, then strapped the device to his head. They hiked across the frozen land for hours. Ice cracked beneath their feet. The fog grew thicker. Shadows moved in the mist quick, crawling shapes that disappeared when looked at. Are we being followed? Ethan whispered. Kale. Ari answered without turning her head. Yes, by echoes. What are echoes? Memories. Trapped too long. Broken. Ethan's grip tightened on his weapon. Can they hurt us? Kylari didn't answer. Finally they reached the vault entrance, a towering wall of black crystal, buried in ice. It pulsed faintly alive, ancient, and aware. Kylari stepped forward and placed her hand on the door. Ethan, it must be you. He nodded slowly and walked up. The moment his palm touched the crystal, the entire structure lit up, the ice cracked violently, and a voice entered. His mind, not in words, but in raw feeling, pain, betrayal, sorrow, war, death. The cold vanished. The wind silenced. He stood alone in a memory. A city of light stretched around him, tall towers floating above oceans of fire. Alien beings moved through the sky, glowing and graceful. Then came darkness. Black ships. Red signal. Screams. War. Fire raining from the sky, and one word burned into his thoughts. Human. Ethan snapped back, falling to his knees. The vault door had opened. The inside glowed red and blue, like the heart of a dying sun. Kale. Ari helped him up. What did you see? Ethan looked shaken. A warren. They blamed us. They blamed humans. Zarkale nodded. Because the last time the vaults opened, your kind helped destroy everything. They entered the vault. The air inside was strangely warm. Walls shimmered with data light flowing like rivers across the floor and ceiling. This is a memory chamber, Kailari said. The second layer of the Starforge network. It records events, not just stores them. Ethan stared at the glowing paths. So, what do I do? Kailari guided him to a circular platform in the center. Stand here. The vault will ask a question. If you answer wrong, it shuts forever, Zarkale added. Or worse, it shows you what it hides. Ethan stepped onto the platform. A voice echoed. State purpose. Ethan took a breath. To understand what was lost. To protect what remains. Silence then. Approved. Light exploded. Ethan was pulled into another vision. But this time, it wasn't a memory. It was a warning. He saw the future. Burning cities. Metal armies. Walking through ruins. Skies turned to fire. And a tower taller than any planet rising in space. Inside it, a machine sat on a throne of bones. A voice echoed. When the seventh vault opens, the Harbinger will awaken. Ethan's heart raced. He fell back into reality, gasping. Kailari caught him. What did you see? She asked urgently. Ethan looked into her glowing eyes. We're not opening vaults, he said. We're unlocking a prison. But before anyone could speak, the vault lights turned red. Kailari froze. What is it? Ethan asked. Something else is here, she said. XAR single quotes. Kel stepped forward, blade drawn. Not something. A black figure emerged from the far end of the vault. Tall, thin, glowing eyes like coals. Not a machine, not alive, but something in between. The Echo Warden, Kailari whispered. He guards what must never leave. The figure raised a hand. Shadows flew toward them like knives. XAR single quotes. Kel charged Kailari behind. Cover. The vault roared with ancient fury. The warden spoke. The key must sleep. Ethan stood up slowly. He was done running. He had seen what was coming, and now he would fight it, even if it meant facing the ghosts of the past or awakening the future's nightmare. When fire meets the futureth vault trembled. Dust fell from the glowing walls as the Echo Warden stepped forward, dragging a dark, shifting shadow behind him like a cape made of screams. His face was hidden behind a mask of glass, but Ethan could feel the eyes behind it cold, watching ancient. The key must sleep, the warden repeated, voice echoing from every corner of the chamber. XAR, single quotes. Kel growled and charged with full force, his blade glowing white with energy. The warden raised his hand, and the air shattered. A blast of pure memory, millions of voices screaming at once hit Zarkale like a wave. He crashed to the ground, shaking, his armor sparking, his breath silent. Zarkale, Ethan shouted, running forward. Ari grabbed his arm. Don't. That's what it wants, to overwhelm you with history, to make you relive all the pain until your mind breaks. Ethan's heart pounded. Then how do we stop it? We don't, Kailari whispered. You do. The warden's red eyes locked onto Ethan. The vault chamber began to melt and shift, showing flashes of war, betrayal, genocide, burning cities, dead planets, screaming children. The guilt of 1,000 civilizations poured into Ethan's head. He dropped to his knees, groaning in pain. Make it stop, he whispered. This is what humans left behind, the warden said. Fear, fire, extinction. You are the final key, and you will not open what must never awaken. Kailari stepped in front of Ethan, raising her blade. He's not the same as those who came before. The warden laughed, a sound like shattering glass. All keys are shaped from the same metal, but something in Ethan refused to break. Not this time. He stood up slowly, blood on his lips, fire in his eyes. You keep showing me the past, he said, but I'm not here to repeat it. I'm here to fix it. The warden paused. Then prove it, he said. Suddenly, the center of the vault cracked open, revealing a glowing sphere. Inside it, pure memory, the seed of the Starforce, the last untouched record of the galaxy before the wars. Kailari gasped. That's the origin code. What do I do? Ethan asked. Touch it, she said, but only if your heart is clear. Clear, he frowned. Of what? Revenge, she said. Hate, fear. The vault can feel everything. Zarkel groaned, slowly getting up behind them. Do it, before more come. Ethan stepped forward, hands shaking. Every step closer made his head spin. He heard voices again, his mother, his old captain, his crew, his own younger self. You'll never be more than a worker. You're too soft. Humans don't belong in the stars. He closed his eyes. Then he remembered Kyler's words on that first night. You are not forgotten. Ethan touched the sphere. Light exploded. The vault walls vanished. He was floating in a sea of stars. In front of him stood a figure tall, glowing, beautiful, and terrifying. Not the warden, the architect, the one who built the first vaults. Are you ready? The voice asked. Ready for what? To make the final choice? Images filled the space. On one side, the Dominion, the machine empire. Thousands of ships, ready to invade, seeking the vault's power. On the other side, planets still untouched, life still free, fragile, afraid. If you unlock all 7 vaults, the architect said, you will awaken the Harbinger, the last mind, the true creator. And if I don't, the Dominion will find a way to open them anyway. They are already trying. Ethan's fists clenched. So I'm trapped between giving them a god or letting them burn everything. Not quite, the architect said. A third path appeared. Destruction. Destroy the vaults completely. Erase the knowledge, the history, the power. But you'll never be remembered, the voice warned. No one will know what you did. No one will know what humans once were. Ethan took a deep breath. Maybe they don't need to know, he said back in the vault. The sphere shattered in his hand. A pulse of white energy tore through the chamber. Throwing the warden back, Kailari shielded her eyes. What have you done? Ethan looked at her. I chose the third path. The vault began to collapse. Data faded. Lights died. Memory drained into the ground like water into dry sand. Zarkel grabbed them both. We have to go. Now. They ran through the crumbling halls, dodging falling crystal and waves of static. The vault was dying, but in its death, it was wiping itself clean. No one would ever access it again. Outside, the ship waited. They flew off, just as the vault collapsed behind them into the frozen ground. From orbit, it looked like a crater of light swallowed by snow. In space, silence returned. The signal had vanished. The Dominion would search, but they would find nothing. Vault 2 was gone. On the bridge, Kailari turned to Ethan. You erased your own legacy. Ethan looked out at the stars. I saved the galaxy from waking up something it wasn't ready for. Zarkel placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. You made a warrior's choice. Ethan shook his head. No, I made a human one, somewhere, deep in the stars. A machine mind blinked, and then went dark, and the Harbinger, still sleeping, remained untouched, because the last key had chosen. Silence over power, fire over fear, and the future over the past. When fire meets the futureth sky above the dying moon had turned. Blood-red. Flashes of light pulsed in the clouds like silent lightning. Beneath the surface, the second vault was dying, and with it, 1,000,000 years of forgotten knowledge. The ship carrying Ethan, Kailari, and Zarkel lifted into orbit, but none of them celebrated. Silence sat heavy in the cabin. Ethan stood by the viewing window, eyes locked on the swirling storm below. He had just destroyed something ancient, something powerful. A decision no one could unmake. You okay? Kailari asked softly, approaching from behind. Ethan didn't answer right away. He watched the vault's final glow fade beneath the moon's ice, like a candle swallowed by snow. "We came here looking for answers," he said, "and we found warnings instead." "Sometimes," Kailari replied, "a warning is more valuable than knowledge." Zarkel stepped into the room, armor dented and stained. "We need to move. The Dominion will scan this moon. They'll know the vault is gone. They'll know you did it." Ethan turned from the window. "Then let's not be here when they arrive." The ship jumped into warp, but the peace didn't last, because, as they crossed into deep space, a signal hit them like a scream, loud, sharp, impossible to ignore. The ship's lights flickered. Alarms wailed. Kailari rushed to the console. "It's not coming from us, it's coming to us." Ethan stepped closer. "Who is it?" "Not a who," Kailari said slowly, her face pale. "Hey, what?" A strange voice filled the ship's systems. It spoke in a broken mixture of languages, ancient code, human phrases, alien symbols. But the message was clear. Vaults collapsing. Key compromised. Awakening process accelerated. Containment breach imminent. Zarkel looked up. "You didn't destroy the Harbinger. You triggered it." Ethan's blood ran cold. How Kailari was scanning furiously. "The vault you destroyed was part of the lock. Destroying it didn't erase the danger, it weakened the cage. So the Harbinger, it's waking." A star map blinked on the console. At its center, a system long lost to war, marked only by a symbol no one dared to speak of. The original Starforge, the first vault, the true source. Ethan stared at it. "Can we reach it?" Kailari hesitated. "We can try. But if we go there, we won't be coming back." "Why?" Zarkel answered. "Because that place is not protected by walls or weapons. It's protected by memory. The dead remember. The vault remembers. And if we go, we become part of that memory." They set a course anyway, because it was the only choice left. As they approached the old system, the stars themselves seemed dimmer. Colors bled from space. Gravity bent light in strange ways. Ships long dead floated like bones in a frozen sea. They reached the last vault. No walls, no doors, just a black sphere, the size of a mountain, floating in space. No energy readings, no life signs, but it was alive, and it was waiting. Kale, Ari, Zarkel, and Ethan floated toward it in silence as they neared the sphere. It cracked open like an eye, blinking awake after a long sleep, and a voice entered their minds. "You are the final ones. The key, the mind, the blade. Together, you bring the Endor, the beginning." Inside the vault was not a machine, but a mirror. Ethan saw himself, younger, angrier, full of hate, then older, full of fear, then present, broken, but still standing. The mirror spoke with his own voice. "You cannot destroy the past, but you can choose what becomes of it." Kailari stood beside him, her reflection showing a version of herself surrounded by burning cities. A savior, or a traitor. Xarxa reflection was of a conqueror, holding both blade and crown, soaked in both victory and shame. The vault whispered again, "Make your choice, awaken the Harbinger, or become the memory that ends him." Ethan turned. "What if we seal it forever?" Kailari looked stunned. "That would erase everything, even us." "Then we erase it," Ethan said. "No gods, no vaults, no Harbinger." Zarkel stepped forward. "You'd give up your legacy for peace." Ethan met his eyes. Legacy means nothing if no one survives to remember it. Together, they placed their hands on the final mirror. The vault screamed, not in pain, in relief. Light burst from the sphere, pure, blinding, endless. Then darkness, silence, drifting stars, a quiet system, and 3 names never written in history, but across the galaxy. Wars stopped. The Dominion withdrew, the vault signals ended. The Harbinger never rose, and the stars began to sing again, in a small, green planet, far away. A child looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, whoever you were."